Right now, as you're sitting there, there's a constant, invisible battle being fought inside your home. It's happening in the walls, under the floors, even deep underground. It's a war between your house and the environment around it, and honestly, most of us don't even know it's happening. So let's pull back the curtain on this hidden conflict. So if your home is in a constant battle, you gotta know its weak spots, right? I mean, when you think about threats to your house, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Maybe the roof in a big storm? The basement after a heavy rain? What do you think is its single biggest weakness? Well, whatever you just thought of, chances are that's not it. It's not one of those big, obvious disasters we all tend to worry about. The biggest threat is actually silent. It's a sneaky enemy that works away without making a sound until it's way, way too late. In its main battlefield, it's literally right under your feet. We're talking about your plumbing system. Now, to really get a handle on this invisible war, we're going to dive into a specific case study that, believe me, shows some universal truths about all our homes. All right, here's our game plan. We'll kick things off by identifying your home's hidden enemies, using Lakeville, Minnesota as our prime example. Then, we'll dig into the battle below ground, see what happens when winter attacks your pipes, and figure out how to decode a real professional. We'll even give you a smart question guide for hiring one. And finally, we'll zoom out and appreciate this incredible invisible network we all trust every single day. Okay, let's jump in. We're using Lakeville, Minnesota as our case study. Now you might be thinking, I don't live there. But that's the thing. The challenges this town faces, from its unique soil to its harsh weather, they really shine a spotlight on the pressures your own home is probably dealing with too. So let's talk about the first battleground, the earth right beneath your house. You might think it's solid and stable, but you'd be surprised. The very ground your home is built on can be one of its most relentless foes. Some of your home's biggest enemies are the ones you can't even see. First up, you've got the soil itself. In a place like Lakeville, the clay-heavy soil is constantly squeezing the pipes. It's like a slow, crushing pressure, 24/7. Then there's what I like to call a biological invasion. Tree roots are like little heat-seeking missiles for moisture, and they will literally break into your sewer lines to get it. And finally, there's chemistry. Those old galvanized pipes, they're quietly rusting away from the inside, just a ticking time bomb waiting to cause a major problem. But the biggest underground villain, especially in a cold climate like Minnesota's, is something called the freeze-thaw cycle. It sounds simple enough, right? Water in the ground freezes, it expands, and then it thaws. But the thing you have to understand is the incredible force of that expansion. We're talking about enough power to make the ground literally shift and heave, putting this immense, crushing stress on anything buried in it. So here's how this path of destruction works step by step. First, the soil soaks up a ton of water right before a deep freeze. Then, number 2, the temperature drops and all that trapped water freezes and expands with some serious force. Step 3 is the result. The ground itself actually moves. And finally, the pipes that are buried in that ground, well, they're rigid. They can't handle that strain, so they crack. Or even worse, they burst. And that brings us perfectly to our next major enemy, winter itself. The attack isn't just coming from the ground below, it's also coming from the freezing air above. And believe it or not, even from the quality of the water running through your pipes. This is like the perfect storm of winter plumbing nightmares. First, you get the frozen and burst pipes, which almost always happen in those unheated spots like your crawl space or garage. Then, water heaters start failing more often. Why? Because hard water leaves behind mineral buildup that clogs them up. And just when you think you're in the clear, the spring thaw hits and your sump pump just can't keep up, which leads to, you guessed it, a flooded basement. I just want to pause on this for a second because it's so important. The scale of the damage here is just staggering. A single burst pipe isn't some tiny leak. We are talking about hundreds of gallons of water pouring into your home, causing catastrophic structural damage in just a matter of minutes. So when you're facing all these invisible threats, who's your greatest ally? A true professional, of course. But what actually separates an expert from just some person with a wrench? Let's decode that. This quote really gets right to the heart of it. It's all about transparency through technology. A real expert doesn't just tell you what's wrong, they show you. They make the invisible visible. And that tech is just one piece of a much bigger modern toolkit. We're talking about tiny video cameras that can go inside your pipes, high-pressure hydrojetters that blast drains clean with water, And they use materials specifically designed for the local climate, like special PEX fittings. That's a flexible pipe that's way more resistant to freezing, and frost-proof outdoor faucets. It's about using the right tool for that specific local fight. Let's look at a super common problem, like a clogged drain. Okay, so your DIY methods, pouring chemicals down there or using a little snake, that might give you some temporary relief, but you're risking damage to the pipes and you're almost never solving the real problem. A professional service, on the other hand, comes in with powerful tools like a hydrojetter to clear the entire pipe and get rid of serious blockages like tree roots. And they do it with minimal risk because they're trained and insured. It's a whole different ballgame. All right, so knowing what to look for is one thing. But how do you actually find and hire a true pro with confidence? Well, this is your practical guide. This is the million-dollar question for every homeowner, isn't it? Especially when you're in the middle of an emergency. How do you make a smart choice when you're under pressure and make sure you're getting a fair price? Okay, the most important thing is to have a checklist ready before you need it. So number one, always get multiple written estimates. This lets you compare not just the price, but what they're actually planning to do. 2, verify their state license online. It's a super quick and easy check to see if they're legit. 3, and this is a big one, never pay the full amount upfront. That protects you. And finally, always ask about their warranty and confirm they are fully insured. These simple steps are honestly your best defense. So to wrap this all up, let's just zoom out for a minute. We've been really focused on the problems, but it's worth taking a moment to just appreciate the incredibly complex, invisible network that we all depend on every single day. When you really break it down, your home's plumbing is actually 3 different systems all working together. You've got the potable water supply, which brings fresh, clean water in. You've got the sanitary drainage system, which takes all the wastewater out. And then you have the stormwater drainage system, which manages all the rain and snowmelt to keep your foundation safe. It's this silent, vital dance that's happening 24/7. So when you think about it, all those little creaks and drips and gurgles your house makes, they're not just random noises. They're actually messages. Your home is in a constant conversation with the world around it. And I guess the real question that leaves us with is, are you listening to what it's trying to tell you?